If you're looking for a fishing kayak, well, I've got a story that might help you a little bit throughout your decision-making process. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of 5-Minute Fish Talk, a show where I've got 5 minutes to discuss all things fishing. If you're new to this series, this show appears every single Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time Zone, so click subscribe below, and there's going to be a lot more videos to come. Also, look at that, a new poster. Am I right? That's pretty cool. Let's get into this bad boy. I just loaded 5 minutes on my timer here, and you know what that means. Boop. It's time to get real. That's right, folks. I have a mug now. Pretty cool, eh?
Nope.
Okay, so I've got a bit of a story for you today, and it dates back to my high school days. I was getting to the point in my life where I was like, I'm catching a lot of fish, but I want to take my game to the next level. I want to get off the bank, and I want to be like one of them bass masters that are catching them on a crankbait out in the deep water. So naturally I say, okay, so it's either a boat, a kayak, a float tube, whatever, you name it. I looked into it. What I decided is that I wasn't quite ready to buy a boat, and so I thought, you know what, a kayak could be a really cool option. And this was really before fishing kayaks were as big of a deal as they are today. I mean, they're a huge deal today, but back then it was a little bit of, it was uncharted waters for me. I didn't really know a lot about them. I didn't see anybody with them. And so I was like, whatever, I'm gonna pick one up on Craigslist, and I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna catch some fishies. So after browsing around a little bit, I found one that I thought was going to do the trick really well. It happened to be a BIC, B-I-C, like the one that makes lighters and pins and all that. And so I pick it up from this guy. I spent like $225. And I fished out of it multiple times and throughout the summer, and maybe I caught a few. I don't know that I caught a lot of fish, to be honest. But I eventually got to the point where it's like I really hadn't fished with it that much. And I was like, I don't really like this. I don't need this anymore. I'm going to sell it. The fortunate part was that I actually sold it for more than I bought it for. I think I made like $70. Which, no big deal. I'm a sales guy. What can I say? But that's not really the point. The point is that I thought that fishing kayaks weren't for me. I thought that kayak fishing was something that wasn't going to fit my style. And I was wrong. Because a couple boats later, I gravitated back towards a fishing kayak, and I found one that does meet my needs and that does really suit my style. And so let's think about this and how it relates to you. Couple things. Why did this fishing kayak not work for me? Well, I'm a 6'5" grown man, as you can tell. Yeah, pretty big. Well, mostly just tall and lanky. But this was a 10-foot kayak, and so when you have a tall, lanky guy in a 10-foot kayak, that's probably not going to work that well anyways, but then you pair that up with the fact that this really was not a fishing kayak. This was something that was pretty narrow. It was a sit on top, but by and large, it was pretty wobbly out there. And on top of that, it did not have that much room for my gear besides just me. And so what it happened was that I really couldn't focus on fishing to the degree that I would have liked to. And so it was never really quite the experience I was hoping for. And so some people may have fished very well out of this kayak, but for me what I realized was this was not going to suit my needs. And so as I got back into the kayak fishing scene, I focused on getting something that was more fishable for a guy of my size and for my fishing styles as a whole. And so then I gravitated towards what I have now as a feel-free lure. And I'm not saying that's good for you. It could be good for you, but it might not be good for you. And so the point is that you really need to think about what are your basic needs. And some of the most important things for you might be things such as stability. It might be things such as speed, depending on what kind of waters you're fishing, how big of waters you're fishing. And it might even be things like budget. You might honestly have $400 and say, I need a kayak, or I want a kayak really badly, but I only have $400. And let's bring that back to where I started. Is Craigslist actually can be an awesome option, but you just need to think about first what you need and make sure that you make decisions on that rather than just what deal you're getting. Certainly it's never a bad deal to buy a kayak and then flip it. The things do hold their value to a decent degree, but you can always find deals. Maybe I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but the fact of the matter is that you always need to consider what's going to fit your style best, and in doing so, you will actually have a lot more fun on the water.
I like to have fun.
So, I hope that helps you a little bit in your kayak fishing experience. I certainly do not regret ever getting that kayak, but what I would do in hindsight is make sure that I'm thinking about the few things that are most important to me on the water. And for me, that happens to be comfort, stability, and just overall room and space, so I can have enough gear and cameras to get the job done. So I'm going to turn this thing off so I don't have my brains blasted by this stupid alarm. Boop. Before I close this thing down, I want to give you guys a heads up that a friend of mine named Matt, his name on YouTube is Yankee Tanker Outdoors. He has a series on Fridays as well. It's called My Two Cents, and he basically just talks about little things going on in the industry that irks him. It's pretty funny. Give it a watch. It's linked below. It's also right here or wherever. But overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have a suggestion for next week or the week after or whenever, leave it in the comments below. If I choose it, well, guess what? I'll feature your channel at the beginning of that episode. And last but not least, my friends, have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time.